individuals that also happen to be Black poet laureates in their respective cities and counties. So selfishly, I'm again excited about being in this space and being part of a program that brings these artists together. Some of which I think actually I don't think have been on the same stage, although this is it's electronic digital. Haven't been on the same space together. So like, I'm excited just about that. But having everyone together here, threaded by poetry, threaded by our skin color and the many levels of that can go into, threaded by being ambassadors of this craft in their respective areas. So I'm over excited, as they say in Jamaican. I overstand where I am right now. So look, let's get into it. I don't want to stop stop the movement. So first up, Rhea. I have all these bios, y'all, and I'm going to go through the bios, but like y'all are people, and Rhea is a oh, this is gonna sound so terrible, so cringy, like a ray of sunshine, but it's real though. It's real. Like her smile is infectious, all of that stuff. But she's a poet, she's a motivational speaker, she's a teacher, the founder of the Fifth Woman Poetry Collective. She's the author of several chapbooks, including Let the Sun Shine In, Iris Press 2022, Through the Clouds 2019, and Solar Flares 2015. She has directed Fifth Woman on stage since 2015. If you have not seen it, I think you need to get out there and change your life. She created the Fifth Woman Fellowship in 2017 to mentor poets. Her awards include the 2019 East Tennessee Writers Hall of Fame for Poetry and 2017 Community Shares Award for Artist of Change. Rhea is the first African-American poet laureate of Knoxville, Tennessee. During her service, she wrote a spoken word symphony and performed Vivaldi, reimagined. There we go. Okay, I'm a poet. Reimagined with the Knoxville Symphony Orchestra. She is constantly using poetry as a conduit for inspiration and creating space for conversations about current issues of social change and justice. That's what the words say, but the individual is a powerful and necessary entity in this world. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Rhea.
Tshaka, you amaze me. I just love that I get to be in even virtual space with you. I love the energy in this room. And I am honored to kick off this event or this program because I wanted to celebrate my sisters for just a little while. So I'm going to talk about women for just a little while. If y'all give me a little space. Because see, I come from a long line of ebony goddesses. Women who knew how to burn, whether with tongue or Bunsen, they cooked up recipes of family around the table, laughing and singing songs of praise and triumph. I come from a heritage of thought and expression. Thinkers that created a way for children to feel like royalty on a beggar's budget, a history of femininity, not afraid to work and submit, making our husbands' lives full of love, bellies full of good food that keeps them strong enough to face the world even when it doesn't welcome them. I come from the North and the South. I carry hallelujahs and a bitch slap. Southern charm and hood smarts. I am the daughter of a singer, a veteran, a boxer, and a deacon, so I'm complex, multifaceted, as deep as mirrors facing one another. I come from grace and mercy, so I give it and receive. I come from love, planted in the soil of my heart, so I'm capable of growing a garden. But don't be deceived. I also come from climbing trees and playing football in the streets, so I'm capable of taking a hit and giving one. I come from the darkness of self-doubt into the light of self-acceptance, no makeup, just oil of Olay, beauty as natural as the Smoky Mountains. I come from a history of titans and daily emerge stronger and greater, proud of my background, proud of my blackness, proud of my heritage and my difference. Everything I have learned to be is the essence of this melanin and power flowing through my veins. I am history. Black daughter, Black mother, Black wife, Black poet, excellence from a long line of ebony goddesses. And I wear my crown with pride. So I wrote that. I was not a girl's girl growing up. So I always had guy friends. I was just always around guys, and I did not realize the power of sisterhood until I got into college and into adulthood, and my sisters started really holding me up and helping me be better. And so that's where that came from. And so it caused me to take a little more of a look at what women are and know and understand that in the beginning, God created. He created man, and it was formed from the dust of the earth, and then woman was formed from his side, and the dust, breathing life into dust that fell from heavens. I'm not quite sure when I realized that I was made of stardust. Maybe I read it somewhere. Decided I was manifested somewhere outside of this room. I guess that is why my mother called me her sunshine. Or maybe it was because that in spite of darkness, I would always be able to find a little spark. She taught me early that greatness was created for me, helped me understand that I was a vessel holding the most precious of gifts inside my heart. She showed me the meaning of sacrifice, gave me an example of walking with the Lord and whispered words of an anointing, instructed that if I chose to accept this calling, there would be days that I did not want to continue. Days that death and persecution, days when I would doubt my power and misunderstand my strength and feel as though nothing was worth it. She taught me that the magic within may at times mean I would feel alone. She explained that those were the days that I should know that I am never by myself because I'm standing on the shoulders of her and my foremothers. There's an army of women filled with the same power and strength, going through the same troubles and reaching for the same goals, holding on to the same hand. No wonder sometimes we all struggle to be weak. Never knowing who is watching, waiting for us to crumble. We carry family on our hips, country in our arms, struggle in our minds, and a world on our shoulders. Good thing that we have prayer in our hearts, giving us a place to lay it all down. Heavy laden, we find rest, saying, "Come." So we bow down and we rise up ready for the fight. There have been times in my life where I didn't want to get back up, times when I didn't feel like sunshine was hiding in my bones, when I thought that the words tucked inside these hands were no longer capable of freeing minds. But those were the times that God sent another, a sister, a mother, a friend, to lift me up on the wings of their prayers and awaken the memories of my purpose, revitalize my vision, see the greatness trapped inside, provide that spark for my next level, remind me that I was not only made from stardust, but that everything I touch is blessed. So we are more than just girlfriends, wives, and mothers. We are sisters created to make the world better when we shine brighter, when we come together, a beacon of hope for a world lost to the understanding of love. We were created to show love and prove that when God pulls you out of something, it is with a purpose and a plan, so that when we stand together, we make perfect an agenda for which we were intended. Because God first created woman. Amen. I am not looking at the clock, so I think I got time for like one more. I've just been going. So y'all know I try to always write so that I can uplift and inspire, no matter what is going on in our country and in our world. That's what I want to do. And the way I do that a lot of times, anybody who's ever been around me knows I love to laugh. Love to laugh. Um, Laughter is medicine. In my house, you have to laugh on purpose every single day. I told my sons that people who get old either laugh a lot or they're really mean. So I chose to be the person that laughs a lot. So um, it's my last piece, and I hope it makes y'all laugh a little bit. When I was growing up in church, we used to sing this song. It said, a merry heart is good like a medicine. A merry heart is good like a medicine. A merry heart is good like a medicine. It will flow out to you. So a merry heart is good like a medicine. And as much as I love to laugh, I thought about it. I should be able to fight off this autoimmune disease. All the headaches, the muscle cramps, the joint pain, the heartache, and the feeling inadequate. And I can do none of those things, but one thing I did was I learned to enjoy my laugh. I've learned that it makes my tolerance for the pain more bearable. So when given the opportunity, I laugh out loud. I allow my voice to fill the room, maybe create an infectious ripple that makes others want to join the chorus because I feel it so deep in my soul. It is my way to release the stress and heal my mind. This laugh takes control and becomes everything to my world in the moment. I'm not exactly sure what I realized that my laugh is boisterous, or when I questioned how it makes others feel that I'm able to be so free, to laugh so loud and never hold back bubbling sounds from my soul to teach the freedom of self-acceptance, the acknowledgement of my difference and reality of its beauty. Sometimes I just laugh to keep from crying. Other times, I laugh until I cry because the tears need to be released. And what better way for them to burst forth than from a smile that becomes active like a volcano and erupts from my gut to give way for cleansing grace? No matter what, my laugh will never be as astonishing as the sound of laughter catapulting from the lungs of my sons. When they laugh, my entire world is made perfect. A new creation each time they find the freedom to let joy overflow. But I didn't know that their black boy joy would strike fear in the hearts of even my neighbors. They called the authorities on my babies to quiet their smiles and attempt to structure their expression. But we had planted that seed, made it okay to laugh as loud as their hearts could tolerate, made it a rule to not quiet their spirits, and taught them never to dull their light. So they politely explained that they will not quiet their joyful streaks, but instead let them fear and let the fear into their souls of those that seek to put them under a bushel. See, I taught them something by laughing out loud. This speechless lesson I know that they will never forget, as life becomes full of reasons to snatch your smile and your confidence. I hope they remember their mother laughing. I hope they find comfort in laying their head back and a hand on their stomach, hearing a bellow from their soul and healing themselves with the medicine that I teach them to make each and every time. I laugh.
I could sit here all day, right, and be like, you got four more poems and 6 more hours, okay? But thank you so much. You are such a necessity in the world we live in right now, especially with what's going on for us at the moment.
Thank you, thank you.
No, I know you got stuff to do, but I gave in the bio, we gave a bunch of flowers of what you've done. I forgot about I forgot you could blow. Oh my God, I forgot about the singing. I forgot about the singing. So thank you for that. All the work you're doing, and for folks that don't know, sort of again behind the scenes of Black Poet Laureates, there's a whole association behind the National Black Poet Laureate Society, and sort of holding that up is this young lady that you just heard a few minutes of her work. So she's doing all this work on the front end in front of the stage, but then on the back end, she is holding this down and trying to make something bigger and up level a next step for the craft and for the craft of folks who look, feel, and experience as we do. So you get your flowers for that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you all so very much. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I will hang out as long as I can, but I do thank you so much.
Absolutely. Be here. Y'all follow her. Find the information will be on our site. You know the folks on this page. We all talk to each other. So follow one of us and then you can get to the others and see what we're doing and how we're doing it. Thanks again, man. Have a good one. So next, I don't even know how to begin the introduction. I just want to throw out the letters, right? The words. I can't tell you from a personal level how and I don't think you know this, how many times you saved me in moments. And we'll talk about it, with some wine. But there were times, coming up in this craft when, and I think all poets at some point go through this where you're like, well, where's my space? Am I still relevant? I seem to be writing about the exact same thing because I'm hurting in the exact same way. And I've just been a couple of conversations where I've walked away saying, it's okay. This is where you're supposed to be, right? This is exactly where you're supposed to be right now. So I can go on with many a story, but Tama Brisbane is Stockton's Poet Laureate Emeriti, having served for 4 historic terms from, I think if you drive into Stockton, there's probably a picture of you, there got to be a picture of you somewhere, right? Because you have laid some of the groundwork. Anyway, the terms have been from 2015 to 2023 and presenting well over 300 times, including the inauguration of the city's first Black mayor, Michael Tubbs, her guest poet performances at the King Center and Ebenezer Baptist Church led Martin Luther King III to say to her, "Your words matter." Her peace poems have been translated by the UN as part of the International Day of Peace and reside in the personal collection of Beetle Ringo Starr. She is a co-founder of the Expression Lab, a literacy arts project in Zambia that now reaches high school students in 3 cities. Mama T, that's what I'm talking about. Mama T is a published author and Susan B. Anthony Award winner for creative arts and a Black Women Organized for Political Action honoree, a University of Pacific Women of Distinction, an Action on Behalf of Children honoree. I don't know where she has the time, and a founder member of the National Black Poets Laureate Society. Her tireless efforts on behalf of youth, particularly those of color and from marginalized communities, have been celebrated and recognized by both houses of the California legislature, by the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate. Like, that's what the words say. But when I talk about an incredible human being, when I talk about a heart that is as big as this universe, this is Tama Brisbane, and y'all gonna experience some of this love.
Thank you. First of all, I got to say 2 things. One, you in the room with the big girls when Ray of Sunshine kicks it off like that. So, just want to say, I'm with the big girls. And 2, when you get to this stage and station of life, you know a lot of poets, and some people ask me who my favorite writer is, and I go, Tshaka's still here, right? So it's not going to be you. I deal with a lot of hurt feelings after that, but they eventually get over it. Speaking of land acknowledgements, where I live and work in Stockton, California is in San Joaquin County, which is the land of the Yokuts and Miwoks, and we are the largest patch of Class 1 soil, which is why we grow everything, except awareness that our youth of color belong to this soil, this environmental awareness movement. So I do a lot of green writing for our youth. So this is one that I just did for the state of California. I am new to the San Joaquin Delta, like most of us are really. No matter which 15th, 16th, or 17th century year your family explored, immigrated, or was brought here, around here, unless you are Yokuts or Miwok, living on her banks, banking on her abundance, creating centuries of community and culture, the Delta, she don't know you like that. But I'm starting to know her through her cornucopia of food festivals and farmers markets, through gatherings of great music from reggae to jazz, from bluegrass to hip hop, through an artist's palette of feathered families that rest and nest in the angled branches of her sage-colored trees, through whole families of humans, colored mostly Black and brown, that huddle homeless on her shores, along with makeshift hopeful lines cast into her waters by forlorn fishermen with no other options for food. The Delta, generous for generations, makes a place for them all. I'm worried about her though, because in the summer, the Delta has trouble breathing, her lungs impacted, endangered by the lime greenery of harmful algal blooms, an infestation of an indignity that not only sucks, it stinks. At her age, the Delta is going through the climate change. Her pH balance off and off-putting, a sign that she's not well. And occurrences of algae-related illnesses, a sign that neither are growing numbers of us. She's not as strong as she used to be. I mean, she was always delicate, but now the Delta is frail, dangerously vulnerable to the thirst of moneyed men with too much greed and not nearly enough foresight, whose pipeline plans would violate her into non-viability. And yet the Delta blesses us with unmerited access to the elegance of her existence, with bike paths in the mornings, hiking trails in the afternoons, and tranquil strolls in the evenings, with places to read and write and paint and plant and harvest and dance and discover places to row, row, row your boat gently. Behold the dawns and sunsets with equal wonder. Because of the Delta, I now know how to not mark time. Just sitting next to her, watching her be, letting her teach me to do the same. And even though I'm new to the Delta, like most of us are really, she allows me to treat her like home. So, excuse me. Part of the work that I do as Poet Laureate, living here in Stockton in the San Joaquin County in the Central Valley, which, by the way, I call Calabama. We actually have a Selma in California, and it feels and acts just the way you think it might. And so, in spite of the fact that I'm Poet Laureate and I'm championing this art form, make no mistake, where I live is hugely, oppressively conservative. And one of the communities that is coming under constant attack here, even more so out in the general public, is my queer family, my students, my colleagues, members of my own family who belong to the letters LGBTQ. And so years ago, I wrote a poem honoring my trans people and spit it in front of the Proud Boys cosplaying with guns and stuff like that. You've not lived until you've had a Proud Boy point a gun in your face. But this is TDOR. They are here. daring to defy dogma and duality for the singular freedom, the everyday revolution of being themselves, transgendered and transcendent, living bravely transitory lives, beautiful in whatever sunlight moments they can find or borrow or manufacture, translucent. Hearts visible on plaid sleeves, resplendent in rainbow weaves, they are here, indelible in their imprint. Their existence cannot be erased by executive order, will not be legislated into limbo. Let us celebrate them with a lasting acknowledgement and offer them a promise that while we have feet to march into battle, transport, our voices blending together, transfusion, out loud in the shouting for change, translocation, while we have lives dedicated to the splitting asunder of asinine assumptions, and while we have bodies in all of our definitions and presentations, transference, to place in the way of the enemy, translocation, they will be remembered, transcribed onto the sacred pages of our memories like Bibles, praying that minds weaponized by Leviticus will someday transition into hearts surrendered unto the peace of Luke, because they are here. And so are we, hopefully, transformed. So when you're Poet Laureate, and all of our laureates know, you've got to be very mindful about paying attention to your own pen as you're lifting up everyone else's. Otherwise, that thing will get rusty. When we were going through COVID, when we went through the summer of George Floyd's murder, I was reminded that I had anger and pain that I hadn't tapped into in a minute. And so I wrote this piece for the state of Minnesota at the time. And it's called L'Étoile du Nord, because in French, it means North Star. And that's the state motto of Minnesota. If fire is the needed warmth generated by a people huddled, banded together across generations, drawing from themselves the strength to endure a nation's cool indifference to these icy winds of racism, this uniquely American maelstrom against melanin. If fire is the melting away of inaction in place of acknowledgement, if fire is the light that sears too comfortable film from eyes too conveniently blind to the consequences of color, if fire is the overdue heat, the postponed public pyre upon which we stack like kindling every impotent acceptance of murders made uniform by murderers wearing uniforms, if fire will lead to the incineration of injustice, then let it burn. Is not my word like a fire, saith the Lord, and like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces? Then raise every righteous and weary hand, yes again, and against the brittle rock of racism, so ready to crumble further, ignite our voices, yes, again, to set ablaze the catechisms of cruelty that paper over ancestral grievances, warm hands by the fallen North Star will call a bonfire and wait. Somewhere in the systemic cinders is a Phoenix, a Ferguson, a Charlotte, a Glenn County, a Louisville, an Atlanta, an Oakland, a Minneapolis, a people, a country finally filled to bursting with a people ready to rise from the ashes. And I'm gonna close with a personal one. I don't often take the veil away and take people into my actual story. So this is confession and complaint I'm holding so many of you responsible for not letting me know what the dating environment was like out there, that dinosaurs are still roaming the earth. And so this is what happened. He liked my profile because real women wear dresses. Dating app, Daniel. Still dragging his knuckles on the hard ground of hardened notions of what real women wear. Let me have a word or two with you about what real women do. Real women have full closets, jeans, sweaters, pumps and purses, hats for our tresses, and yes, dresses, because you never know the kind of day real women might have. Real women build. Real women bend into impossibly intricate shapes to keep from breaking. Real women break. Real women out here giving birth to babies, businesses, movements, nations, and change. When real women speak, you should listen. When real women get real quiet, you should run. Real women sing, swing, and do the damn thing. Real women will shake that ass. Real women will beat that ass. And sometimes, when some men say something real stupid, real women will say with real disappointment, really? But real women love real men. Real women love real women. Real women love without labels. But most of all, real women love themselves in dresses and out of them. Real women love themselves naked. Okay, maybe we don't all the time love ourselves naked, but real women are learning to. Real women know how to be because real women been there. Real women do because real women dare. Real women know how to stand by your side. Real women know how to provide because when real men have gone missing, real women have worn the pants in the family to keep everything from crumbling into messes. And real women teach their daughters how to recognize and walk in their real power. But sure, real women wear dresses. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, look, y'all gonna learn today. Whether it's right now or you see this later on, you are going to experience this and walk away different. Tara, you are amazing. You are a treasure. You know, I think you epitomize this whole concept of, yes, as poet, as laureates, we're doing this work, we're the ambassadors of this work. But then there's this extra level of like putting in the work. You know, you touched on it when you said about like your pen will get rusty, right? Because we got into this because we love writing, we love the work. And then when then you take on this seat and you're doing the things, right? Even your work when you're writing, you're doing commissioned work, right? And so, et cetera, et cetera. So I applaud you. I thank you for all the work you're doing for the collective us, and all the work you're doing for the collective you that help the collective us. You know, I appreciate you so much, so much. I can say one other thing, and I want folks to know this as well, as how important connection and networking is. There's been at least 4 occasions where I've been on the stage and come off the stage with people across this country. And they're like, I saw you before. And I was like, this is the first time in the city. I appreciate you, but first. And they're like, no, I was in Stockton at an event how many years ago? And a lot of the times it's like, it's the first time I've gone to a poetry event. I was a youth writer then. Tama put this event together and I saw you, and et cetera, and the rest is history. So I also want to give you flowers for what you're doing, the stuff you're doing that you don't even know about. Right? It's like when you put that basket in the water and it goes away, but you don't know where it's going to and how many people have seen it on its route. you put something in the water, and there's a lot of people seeing what you've put in the route. So I appreciate you very, very, very much.
Thank you so much. I just want to close by giving another shout out to Rhea for the founding of this project and the culmination in fullness of the word, because it started out as a vision with just a few of us, and it's now this panoramic thing that is accessible for so many of us. And finding how often we get a new member into the society and we see that our reach and our work is growing. Rhea, girl, you did the thing.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Tama. It's just, and I'm glad you said that. It's like, and this is probably a really bad example, but it's like a speakeasy, right? You go in and you don't see anything. Like, okay, let me see how I can frame this. You go in, you don't see anything in the front, you open the door, and there's this whole experience right behind the scenes. That's what happened to me, right? When I got the laureate, and Judah One sent me a text, and he was like, I got something for you. And I was like, that sounds weird, right? So he's like, I got something for you. And he sends me this link to the Black Poet Laureates. And it's like, I get into it, and this world opens up of all these folks that are doing this work. It was a moment I won't forget. And it's been amazing ever since. So again, adding to that, the whole flowers of what Rhea is doing in the background and what everybody's doing, just being part of this, I think is testimony enough to this craft that we love and how we want to sort of up-level, uplift, and expand what we're doing with the communities that we're doing it with. So again, flowers to you, to Rhea, to everyone else that you're about to hear, and all the fellow members of BPL. Okay, next, KaNikki, Jakarta, has been featured on NBC, USA 9, and Comcast. She is, just so y'all know, we didn't just get like, I hit the stage 2 times and now here I am. Like we got folks that have again done the thing. And Comcast. She is inaugural poet in residence of Northern Virginia Fine Arts Association. She is an award-winning performance poet and an Amazon best-selling author who has toured the US and the UK. She's the first Black Poet Laureate of Alexandria, Virginia. The first Black Poet Laureate of Alexandria, Virginia. Let me just repeat that because I know what that means. The author of 3 novels, 2 poetry collections, a memoir, a short story poetry collection entitled Alabama Girl, Virginia Woman. She can be found on social media platforms. You can find her here. You can find her after this. You will want to find her. Please give it up for KaNikki. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am going to have you walk around with me forever now and just introduce me to people.
Okay.
Can we do that? Can we do that? You just walk around with me and do that. And they say, who are you? And I just point to you and you just do the thing.
I will record a message and you'll be like, who am I?
Record a message for me. I like that. I like that. Thank you again for having me. Thank you for even thinking about me. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I have enjoyed you guys. I could have just been on here just listening, but it's been wonderful hearing. I just, that's what I wanted to do, to just get on to hear you guys. But definitely bringing me to this virtual stage has been it's already just been a blessing to me. So I'm going to start with a very short piece. Let's see if I can see it. It's called Posed and Poised. I stood as I watched the pieces of my life shatter and fall down at my feet. I did not cry in response. Instead, I marveled at the fact that I was still standing. I smirked at the devil and his helpers' countless attempts. I watched in astonishment, folded my arms in confidence, inhaled, exhaled, waited until it all crashed completely. Then I immediately stepped over the things I did not need anymore, gathered up the pieces of learned lessons, and decided to rebuild again. That's the first piece. And then the second piece I want to do growing up in the South, there was a lot of Nikkis. I didn't really become KaNikki until when I was in my 20s, when I decided KaNikki is my name. I was named after Nikki Giovanni. My mom read a lot of Nikki Giovanni poetry with me when she was pregnant with me. And she was going to name me Nikki Giovanni, which would have been very, very problematic. So good thing she did not do that. She decided to name me KaNikki instead. But I'm saying I'm so fly. I used to say I thought I was all that and a bag of chips. I'm so fly. The only thing people could talk about me was to say that I was short. So I wrote a poem about it. Want to hear it? So here you go. So recently, I had an epiphany. A sudden manifestation of the essence of the meaning of being short. So I've decided I'm drinking milk in a blue milk carton, and written on the outside of it, it says silk. From here on out, I'm a ride and die chick. I will no longer be depressed. I'll be determined, or better yet, color, and I'll exist in a new world of order where the term holding me down will be replaced with holding me up. My cup runneth over, and the chip that you have on your shoulder, I'm knocking it off. And what? You ain't gonna do nothing. Isn't that what you said I was? Or was it nothing I was supposed to be? Titled me, baby mama in the projects, getting food stamps and welfare checks. But now I'm doing things that you wouldn't even believe. Instead of popping my collar, I'm popping my whole sleeve. Honey, please, you wish you could be me when you were a problem starter. Looking at me through your eyes, no wonder I kept getting shorter. But now I'm a believer, an overachiever, a sister with skills, and still rocking 3-inch heels. And I would say that old cliche. I wish you can see me now, but in real life, I'm not even looking in your direction. I'm looking in the mirror at a beautiful God-made reflection, putting one foot in front of the other. So from now on, call me lover of life, Talia and Selah's mama and 13's wife, doing everything through Christ that gives me strength. Philippians 4:13, call me queen, beautiful human being. I said I'm drinking milk now. I heard it does the body good. I'm doing everything impossible you had me thinking I never could. I've decided to no longer define myself with another person's definition. I said, I've decided to no longer define myself with another person's definition. I had an epiphany, y'all, of my own existence. Yay! So that goes out to all the people. And shout out to all the short people, because the air is better down here. I'm saying. Right, so I want to read one of my commissions piece as well. I was charged with writing about the slaves that came into Alexandria, Virginia. So I live in Alexandria, Virginia, which is, I can't remember how many miles away from Washington, D.C. It's very, very close. It's like where I live in Alexandria, Virginia, I live about 10 minutes from the White House, just to give you some example of how close I am to those things. And I was a Poet Laureate during the time as everything Black Lives Matter happens. And I actually applied for Poet Laureate 3 times before I got it, right? 3 times. So, if at first you don't succeed. Okay. So this piece is called A Waiting, like a waiting in the water. Many Black people that I know are afraid of the ocean. Not the textbook definition of feeling fear, but those who draw near are only willing to wade. They are afraid to make waves in a history that may sweep them away into an undercurrent of history repeating itself, because screaming help didn't help our ancestors. In fact, the wading in the water was a way to wash away a human scent, to leave dogs' noses no evidence of them being there. A passageway to freedom, calling their names so quietly only a soul could hear. To draw near to that history is a stirring in our bones, an undertone that we put on mute to silence what was never right. Sometimes to win a fight, you get out of sight and yearn to be seen beyond the horizon, farther than the possible limit of sight, beyond what was able to be foreseen. So in this time, there will be no repeat of history. We know where we came from. We know our destinations. No more plantations. We're on a staycation for the duration of our own imaginations. We move in fascination like the flow of water. We are the sons and daughters of our forefathers who left traces of themselves through blood, sweat, and tears of years of painful yesterday. Imagine being enslaved during a slave trade and thought of as a commodity, standing on docks and ocean blocks of people of African descent who didn't know the possibility of an escape in those days, but we were taught how to wade, through laborers leaving legacies, knowing how to bob and weave, knitting together stories of unity, a compass, pointing in all directions of a lifetimes, and Negro spirituals while peering through church windows. We are stained glass with colorful exterior of a painful past. They called our neighborhood the Bottom, 8 miles from the Potomac River where Black people were free, built our own homes and called it a community. Yet many Black people that I know have a fear of the ocean, but in our daily motions, we flow through the motions, absorbing over, above, and aground, a railroad and an underground to freedom. It's not that we don't know how to swim. We can prepare our bodies through water using our limbs. It's that deep down we know that our ancestors didn't swim for pleasure in those days. It's not that we are afraid. It's that we'd rather move through our lives like the flow of water and way. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have a little girl who has definitely joined us. Is not supposed to be on here, but hey, you know, motherhood. This is motherhood. This is what happens. All right, so I'm gonna go into my next piece. It is about time, and let me just say, I'll tell you in that. It's called the test of time. Time waits for no one, but it will reduce its speed just long enough for you to take inventory of your decisions, for you to take provisions and envision a better position while you're in a transition of what could be next for you. Just when you think you have no clue, you start anew. Upon entering my first year of high school, my daddy asked me, "What will you do after graduation?" Without hesitation, I responded, "I'm just in the 9th grade." His curiosity didn't fade when he informed me that time has rules. In another 48 months, high school will conclude. You'd better pay attention, because time speeds up when you are grown. And I wish I would have known that this life is on loan and you pay back with high interest rates. If you don't take inventory of your mistakes, you will be tested. And if you don't pass, you'll spend some of it on repeat until the lesson that you were supposed to learn is complete. Talking to me. You keep talking to me. You have to stand on your own 2 feet. Stand your ground. Learning is profound, and when you learn, you can teach. Like, for example, you can never catch up on sleep. And memories are the only thing that you can keep. And power naps lose power the older you get. And you can never win if you continue to quit. And starting again isn't necessarily the same thing as starting over. And if you keep at it, you get a little bit closer to your definition of success. And you determine that you know what's best. Some things you confess, some things you hold close to your chest until you figure out what's next in your mind. Time does not wait. So you have no time to waste in this one life you have to live. Use your time wisely. You only have a specific amount. Life is what you make it. So make the dash count. All right. I don't know if I have time I wasn't keeping time. Do I have time for one more? I don't know. If nobody says anything.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, then this wasn't the poem I was going to do, but I guess I'm going to do it since the little girl has joined the world. You know, it is hard being a mama and a poet. So shout out to the parents and the poets. This one is called Walking. When a toddler stands for the first time, an audience assembles. A cheering section emerges. Hope urges a first step. Hands reach towards her in case she needs help. We all know that she can do it. So we wait and we anticipate the steps she will take, the ones that will give her the cognizance and confidence to walk in her walk. And when she falls, she's met with applause. Hands extended for assistance to help her stand again, encouraging her to begin again, because life is a walk and we're all willing to talk her through it with a little bit of encouragement. But when an adult stands for the first time, an audience of naysayers assembles, awaiting a downfall, an assembly of onlookers, no hands extended, only fingers pointed in the wrong direction, no compassion, no affection, but life is a walk. And some people are afraid to get left behind in the past. And sometimes we have to make our own paths. Sometimes we're walking a tightrope of the unexpected, swallowing rejections like a horse pill, but you can't stand still. Not if you want to live, not if you want to make life for a living, not if you're willing to take a chance on yourself. See, sometimes you have to encourage yourself. Sometimes there'll be no one there to help you but you. Sometimes you have to be your own cheerleader, your own leader, your own boss, whatever it costs. Sometimes you have to go broke to be enriched, to be whole, to mold yourself into yourself. And with God's help, anything, no, everything is possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. There's, everything, when I was trying to curate this show, and there were a lot of reasons why I wanted to do the things that I was doing. What just happened is exactly what all of this is about.
Yes.
Of what I wanted to put together, all the things that I couldn't say was just said.
Yeah. Yes.
This is just beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for Thank you so much for being in this space, for sharing your work, for sharing your family, like that part. That part.
This is what happened when you have a baby and she's 3, but identifies as 5-year-old, but you have to like maneuver through all of this, and it's been a challenge, it has, being on stage and having her there with me has been a challenge, but then she'll get to see it. She'll get to see entrepreneurship. She'll get to see how to organize events. You know what I'm saying? So this will be it'll be ingrained in her like second nature. So it'll be a good thing.
It's perfect. I mean, again, when I've been in this space for a while, and there's so many different compartments to it. And what doesn't get talked about a lot is the women that have to be on these stages, and the women who have families and all. There's a lot of like, there's a strong woman behind the man, like all of that stuff. But when women are doing the exact same things and more, like they can do that too. It's all of that plus this, and so. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this show the way we're having it, to sort of represent that, without saying it directly. And then here you go, saying it directly. So it's absolutely perfect. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for what you're bringing into sort of the new world that will forge into the future for us. So on so many levels.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So next up, Jennifer. Before I didn't even tell you this, right? But Jennifer was I was blessed enough to interview as part of the Beautiful Black Books program on a month-to-month basis that happens. And I didn't get a chance to tell you, but when I got off the phone, you reminded me of like why I like to play with words, like the joy, like there's so much heavy in what we write about and how we write about it. But like there's lightness that you bring to things, like when you first came into writing and like what that moment was when you looked at, you know what I mean? And like the joy, that belly joy in writing. I never told you that, but I wanted to thank you for that because it sparked a whole bunch of poems that I have over here that I don't know what I'm gonna do with yet. You know what I mean? And they need to be, because if I touch them again, they're gonna get heavy.
Right, yeah. They'll lose their lightness.
They're gonna get heavy. They need to stay over there light. But I wanted to say that before I forgot and
Thank you.
Chance. But Jennifer, poet, teacher, and librarian, Jennifer Bartell Boykin is the Poet Laureate of the City of Columbia, South Carolina. She received a MFA and MLIS from the University of South Carolina. Her debut book of poetry is Traveling Mercy by Finishing Line Press in 2023 and features the Bluefield community, which is in Johnsonville, South Carolina. Her second book, Only Believe, by the Word Works of 2024, won the 2023 Hilary Tham Capital Collection Prize. An alumna of Agnes Scott College, Jennifer is an Academy of American Poets Poet Laureate Fellow. This, y'all need to know, that takes like effort. Okay, effort is an understatement for what that takes. So whenever you see that on somebody's resume, know that they put in the work, know that they fought to be acknowledged on whatever level you want to. It just takes a lot of work to do that, and so flowers for that. And has additional fellowships from Callaloo, Watering Hole. She is a school librarian at Spring Valley High School in Columbia, South Carolina, and is the founder of the Soda City Poetry Festival. Please put your hands together for Jennifer. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. I'm so honored to be on this roster with, as Tama would say, these real women on this roster. Yeah, so you may hear some noises. I have so KaNikki, I have an actual 5-year-old that thinks he's 20. So he may try to you may hear some noises. That's him trying to get in. So I'm gonna read from my 2 books of poetry, and then I'm gonna read something kind of new that I wrote as Poet Laureate. So my first book, Traveling Mercy, is a book of journeys. I like to call it a book of journeys. I'm going through the grief journey of losing my parents, doing research on my childhood neighborhood, Bluefield, and going through history and things like that. And so I'm going to read 2 poems from this book. The first one is Leaves Like Prayer. This is what leaves like a prayer. The collard greens my father planted. A collard is a cabbage that does not develop a heart. Their green leaves are like hands about to clasp in solemn devotion, arching towards the sun for a blessing. My father sleeps in his grave, and the collard greens he planted keep growing in his autumn garden. The frost sweetens them, and the time comes to reap what dead hands have sown. My brother cuts the green hands from the earth's body. The green prayers do not leave the black earth. But here we are at the table with turkey and stuffing, clasping our hands over his greens drenched in ham hock juice. We eat prayers. This we do in remembrance of him. Take, eat his love grown for you and me. It's so funny that before Tshaka was talking about how Tama the putting the baskets in the water and gardening and putting seeds in the ground is similar to that, which is also like teaching, because you don't always see the results of your work, but it's still out there and it's working, although you don't always see it. Okay, so this next poem is I'm kind of re-envisioning my birth story. The road to being born is a long one, treading much trouble. Black tea-stained river water pours into the eager mouth of Winyah Bay, where it intertwines like a braid on its way to the Atlantic. On this road, we pass haunted tobacco warehouses in Hemingway, the auctioneer's voice waiting for fall to make him flesh again with the scent of sweet cured tobacco. To cross into this world, I cross many water worlds with woods in between. Tall pines line both sides of the road as if they are lights lining a landing, waiting for my descent. I am ready to step into myself and enter this realm, the height of it all pulsing hard in my blood. I slip through the slit in my mother's belly, the smell of marsh water in my nose. My parents only prepared boy names, but I am Abina, her who comes on Tuesday. On the road home, we go through Muddy Creek, the soft rush of water like the lullaby of my mother's blood, choppy, Peter, and deep creeks. At Granny Moonsey's white house in the middle of a tobacco field, she stares down at me and mourns the arrival of another girl child who may drop her books and then her panties for any man. We passed the building where men in white hoods strategized where to burn the next cross, which was a piece of the road down from the old Huggins place where my mom was born. And then finally home. Home in the quiet blue of the field, the quiet chaos that is the swirl of voices, whispering to me in tongues I will only remember when I go back down the road, when I cross over into the other blue and slip under the slit of the horizon to start this pilgrimage again. So I went back to back with my books of poetry. So this one came out a year after the other one. And only believe this book is based on a gospel song my grandmother used to always sing in church. And it's about me and my grandmother, whose nickname was Moonsey. As she would say, I don't know who learned them that. So it's our story. My grandmother was a master quilter. I was a writer. She told me stories. My grandma was a survivor of sexual assault, and so am I. And so a lot of this book is my breaking my silence and standing up and um healing some of the wounds from that. But also, celebrating the time I had with my grandma and those moments we had together where I was able to learn so much from her. So I'll read three poems from this one. This is Mootsy and Me. God is at Mootsy's knee. She sewed on the big black Singer sewing machine with the gold lettering and foot pedals. I played with the scraps at her feet. She knew I was a creator even before I was born. Let me learn you to sew. God is a woman on a big black Singer sewing machine with gold lettering. How many times I threaded the needle for her, still hear the rhythm of the needle piercing cloth, her foot marking time on the pedal. This is how she teaches her future to love her past with needle and cloth, dirt and rain, tobacco and blackberries, with nothing but hands full of holes from a lifetime of needles poking into skin. The needle feels like a pencil in my hand. What will I write with this thread today? So if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm country. I grew up in the woods in the field. I live in Columbia now, so I'm in the metro, in the city. They call it the metro. Just really Columbia is like a big town compared to some other cities. But I grew up in the woods, and a lot of that comes through in my writing. So this is a short one. This is Legacy. Look the eye of the needle in the eye to thread it. Don't sew new cloth with old cloth. Honey, you cut from a different cloth. Let me learn you how to stitch. Let me learn you how to. Let me learn you. Let me learn. Let me. Okay, so I'll read one more poem from Only Believe, and then one additional poem. So we got two more. I like to read this poem because it feels like it's the last poem of the collection. It feels like it should be the last poem of the collection, but it's not. And it's also a poem where I kind of I do a thing called midrash, which is taking biblical scriptures and kind of remixing it, retelling biblical stories. And the title is the scripture, Genesis 1:31. I wear white to her funeral. I am one of many flower girls who carry calla lilies to the hearse. I am the last of her children's children. I am her favorite grandchild, despite how the others will dispute. She said things to me she never told the others. They didn't know the questions to ask. I regret all the questions I will not get to ask. I do not regret her being free of a body so racked with arthritis that all she could move were her eyes. Where's Bobby? She would ask about my dead mother, her daughter. She's not here, I would say, instead of the truth, not wanting to see the pain on her face anew. At the hospital, when her heartbeat slowed to zero, my cousin started singing, Only Believe. And she came back too for a little while. And then she was gone. Gone like her White House. I take on her memories. A man comes to ask me to marry him on my parents' porch, and I don't have many options. I know they are ready to get rid of me. No, it's time I do something. When the preacher says, now you may kiss the bride, the man will say, plenty time for that. And 6 daughters later, 30 years later, a husband who drinks up all the money he makes later, and I'm still trying to figure out what it all means. I haven't been back to that spot in the woods where she is buried. I do not need to. She is buried inside of me, and we visit often. I put my head on the pillow of her soft bed. She pulls one of her quilts over me. I close my eyes, knowing that when I awake, I will be able to see everything that we have made. Behold, it is good. All right. Thanks again. This has been so much fun to spend this Saturday afternoon in the presence of greatness. Thank you, San Jose Poetry Festival, Tshaka, all of the women, these powerful women on this call. I'm just so thankful. Thank you, Rhea, for organizing the Black Poets Laureate. I'm just so thankful to be here. This last poem is in this anthology called Coastlines. And this was a poem that an artist, a visual artist, commissioned me to write for the opening of his exhibit. This artist does a lot of work with Afrofuturism, and so I wanted to play with that a little bit in the poem. And the name of the art exhibit was The Field, and the artist's name is Cedric Umoja, and the poem is also called The Field. I be black girl from the country, from the woods, from the fields, from the river, from okra seeds, from Johnsonville, from Muddy Creek. I be black like the soil in Bluefield, black like a watermelon seed, black like a night with no stars. I be a black girl from Uncle Leo's tobacco fields, one of my first playgrounds, where I swatted at fat tobacco worms and daydreamed about today. There's freedom in the field. Lay your life down, fight for your people in the field. Feel the souls of black folk in the field, fiending for some petrichor, falling like a star in the field. Fuck around and find out how the fields finds healing for you. Its vibrations and hums connect us beyond time, how the blood in the soil grew you up. The ancestors like digital planets planted and rooted in the cosmos. The future be black too. The future got cotton white tees with gold grills and cornrows. Got your robotic dreams whispering cold like field hollers. Holla if you hear me. The future be patchwork like granny quilts stitched together with scrap fabric, old tablecloths, and old clothes. There's 3 layers tacked together. It's warm, spread over you like sunshine. Tell me how you feel when you come out of the wilderness. Tell me how you feel when you came through the black hole. Tell me how you feel when you slipped over to the other side. Lean, leaning, we're learning. I mean, not all of the Negroes migrated up north or out west. I mean, some of us will be migrating to galaxies that haven't been named yet, where there ain't no colonialism or capitalism or genocide or gentrification, starvation or stagnant wages. Nobody's saying, oh, you're so articulate, or asking you what you're doing here. I said, not all the Negroes migrated up north or out west. Some of us stayed, and we still here. We still then, we still tomorrow in the black country ass future in a spaceship going to a dimension called freedom. Tell me how you feel when we get there. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I I love the play, like I said in the beginning, the playfulness, right? But also
Mhm.
whenever I listen to your work or read your work, there's like this deliberate focus in your language, which I absolutely love. It's a sharp knife, which is different than like a serrated knife. It's a sharp, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate you. I appreciate your work. Thank you so much for being part of this event.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Of course, of course. So last but not least, um, Chastity Gunn. I haven't got a chance to, although many a time I have wanted to have you on the show. I just haven't had on the Black Poet Laureate sort of monthly interview. I haven't had a chance to do it yet. But when I was trying to curate this event and figure out who was going to be, who's going to be part of it, and of course there were many folks. I came across when I was doing my back end, research, and I came across a poem. What is it? It's called "Once There Was a Tree," right? And at the same time was right when I was launching my book "Blood at the Root," and I was like, okay, look no further. Like you got to open up to the universe when it's telling you stuff, and so it was telling me, and I'm so grateful that you're able to be part of this, and so looking forward to hearing your work live. Well, I've read your work, but to experience it live with your voice, I'm super excited about doing so. Thank you for being here. Now, Chastity Gunn, it's a poet laureate of Elgin. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right. Elgin. Okay, Elgin, Illinois, 2019 to 2022. Chastity is a native of Northwest Alabama. I'm gonna have a conversation with my folks because I think they should have gone to the South, so I could have been born in the South. Because, like, I'm getting there's so much from here. But anyway, she received an MFA from Hamline University and a BA in journalism from Belmont University. The author of How to Create a World 2018. Her spoken word has been featured in the Bedlam Theater's 10 by 10 Fest and the Elgin Fringe Festival, a VONA summer workshop participant. She was awarded the Teach for Justice grant from Teachers Pay Teachers and the Cultural Awards Commission grant from the city of Elgin. Gunn is an English professor at Elgin Community College and the inaugural Poet Laureate of Elgin, Illinois. I'll say it again, inaugural Poet Laureate, because that takes work to make happen. In 2021, she received an Academy of American Poets Laureate Fellowship. Without further ado, Chastity Gunn.
Hello, everyone. So glad to be in the virtual space. And thank you all for hanging out with us and listening to our work. And it's just great to be in a room where you are celebrated and heard, and just being able to hear some amazing other Black poets. And I'm going to be reading some poems from a manuscript that I have that is weaving together poems about lynching and sewing. And hopefully this poem will be out in the world in the next year or so. And with that, I'll get started. The first poem that I'm going to read you all today is called Catherine Lee Sews a Sheer Rose Blush Dress for Prom, 1935. The fabric of your dress will influence the way you make the slip. You don't want a fabric that constricts and constrains, restricts and suffocates, underwhelms and exhausts. You don't want a fabric too thick, weighed down by a tight weave that doesn't bend easily, is closed off to integrate with other fabrics. You don't want that. A fabric that doesn't contour around human curves. You don't want that. What you want is the slip to be a part of the dress. One garment, one body, seamless. So choose a fabric that makes your slip the subtle part that is underneath the main attraction, to have the likeness to the sheer fabric that is on top. You want it to be fitted. You want it to be comfortable. So choose slowly. Weigh your options, because cliches save lives. You don't want your dress to feel like a noose, a death trap that caught your grandfather in a grove of peach trees and crooked branches that prayed not to bear the weight of a man again. This next poem is called Paris, Texas, a memoir of 1893. City of light lit, not by celestial bodies burning in moonlight, but burning bodies in daylight. The thousand visited by rail, car, wagon, horse, and foot. From Dallas to Sherman to Arkansas, multitude bends around the town square, spills open unto wide prairie. City burns again, great fire of 1916. Nearly choked out the light of the city, its lungs inflamed with smoke. This poem is titled How to Define So. A word borrowed from the Germans, verb. 1a, to fasten, to attach, or to join remnants of coveralls, work shirts, by passing a thread through the eye of a needle, alternating directions up, down, up, down, up, a series of punctures to make seams of memory. Sew things together, not apart, to work with a thread and a needle, needlework, domestic work, women's work. Enclose, cover up bodies, ligaments, memory. Seal like a casket, surgery, to sew up, needlework, domestic work, women's work. To close a wound, an opening on the side, on the back, stitch the edges together to fasten, attach, or fix threads, memory, moments, remnants, needlework, domestic work, women's work. This next poem, Henry Smith, is about an 1893 lynching victim that occurred in Paris, Texas. You were a burly 17-year-old Negro, rooted in Hope, Arkansas, abiding in the Morrow, Paris, accused of kidnapping, sexual assault, murder, tortured over an hour publicly, burned alive publicly, body parts and clothing acquired publicly. Did you do what they said you did? Suspected to be mentally ill, no formal diagnosis. Did you bow when entering a room? Was diameter of a peach or cantaloupe? Perhaps you attended church every Sunday morning like a good Christian, knees tucked behind worn pine pews. Your sole black suit stretched snugly over tree trunk arms and mountain range shoulders. Black leather shoes shined faithfully to your face reflected in them. Turn in Genesis, chapter 1, the preacher said. God created Adam and Eve with syllables, spit, and dirt, blew into their hollow bodies, echoed, let there be, marveled at their existence. We were created in the image of the Almighty God. Henry's spirit was willing to believe, but his flesh was prone to doubt like Thomas. He waded in the shallow gap of what he heard and what he saw. Black folk treated worse than dogs. Maybe he was more like Peter, prideful, quick-tempered, violent. How to define stitch. Stitch, 2 of 2, part sorrow, 2 parts joy. Finna stitch, been meaning to stitch, done stitched it already. Transitive, family heirloom. 1A. To use a needle and 2 hands to pierce the top of the fabric into the back of the fabric, conjoin them with thread. Mother stitched our initials in our shirts and pants, even our socks. I wonder if she felt we would be like cement, if she stitched our names on our things. She didn't want us to move, or at least not yet. 1B. To pull thread through the briar patch of grief. Try not to get stuck there. She made tiny stitches to ensure they would never break. Love is a mighty thread, so she thought. 2. To unite by means of stretching and tightening. Can grief fit through the eye of a needle? I tell you, if it's easier for grief to go through the eye of the needle than backstitching away memories as if they never occurred. Life lessons. She doesn't need to say only cut fabric with fabric shears. She doesn't need to say always backstitch when beginning and ending a seam. Don't sew over pins because you can break the needle. Read the pattern all the way through before sewing. Always, she says, press your seams as you go. Always lower the presser foot and start sewing with the needle in the thread. She doesn't need to say in 1963 she found comfort in a cave, creek water, and a married man. I can see how she longs for him decades later when she stares out the kitchen window and strokes the rim of her blue mug with her thimbled finger, the now container of cold coffee. She doesn't need to say the house is on fire as she runs out with her belongings toppling out of her arms, one of her tattered house shoes she leaves behind. She wants to explain the hollow tomb in her chest, the coldness in her thumbs, but she knows you can't press memory's creases and you can't undo your choices with the seam ripper and take them back to the place where they were aligned, straight and even. Right? And then I'll end on this poem, A Mere Speak. Here to murder me, and you're going to do it, but do it like civilized men. A civilized voice emerged from the swell of the crowd. A leader beckoned silence. Step toward a mirror. You are now in the hands of men who are determined. If you have anything to say, now is the time to say it. Charged with kidnapping and murdering, Amir was awaiting trial. Only one thing can save your life: a body. Luelle's father, gray-haired, stepped forward, repeated the same. She's alive with the man, Samuel Payne in Texas. Words can't save you. Civilized folk need proof. They voted for the rope. The noose around your neck, seated in a red wagon under a tree. Are you an innocent man? Asked a mute spectator. I am. What is your last request? You thought of your mother. Send her my body and tell her I desire to be buried by the side of my sister in Ohio. At Hebron? Yes. Before you could form a sentence, the horses lurched forward, leaving you suspended between earth and sky. Your swinging body was left in silence, and the crowd dispersed in a hush. And in the morning, you were cut down. Thank you all.
That's all, I mean, that's the response. I don't know where to go from that. Thank you so much for being here. I mean, it's to read your work is one thing, to hear you recite your poetry. And this is just a section of it has been a blessing and an honor. And if I ain't first in line for that book when that book comes out, I'm gonna be real upset. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being the perfect bookend to this incredible sort of group of women that have blessed me. Like, forget everybody else, blessed me with being here and sort of celebrating the space together. I did want to give the listening audience an opportunity to ask one or two questions, if you guys don't mind. There is one question here from Lady K, and this is to anyone who wants to jump in. But the question is, what advice do you have for other Black women trying to become Poet Laureate in a place where they haven't been any other Black women in the position before in their town?
The answer to that is try again, and be relevant and seen, right? So whatever you were planning to do as Poet Laureate, do it anyway, whether you're Poet Laureate or not. Because once you are noticed and seen, then you'll have a bigger voice regardless, right? So I'd said, I am doing these things and putting these things in place. And I really think that was one of the things that set me apart for the other people, because they were saying what they will do when they have it. I was saying, I'm doing these things. This is what's coming up. Here are the flyers. This is the brochure. These things will happen, whether this is KaNikki Jakarta, the poet, is doing it, or KaNikki Jakarta, the Poet Laureate, is doing it. So that's my answer. Do it anyway. Try again.
I want to second that as well. I'm the second Poet Laureate of Columbia, and so I didn't even really have intentions of becoming Poet Laureate, but the first Poet Laureate was my former professor, and I helped him do a lot of stuff as Poet Laureate. And then I was already, like KaNikki said, I was already doing poetry work in the community. And so that's very, very helpful. So whatever it is, whatever your vision is for your community, go ahead and start doing it. Partner with your public library and organizations that have similar values that will support you, and just do it. Yeah.
Okay, I know your landscape over there, and I would both co-sign what you've already heard and then remind you that these governing bodies appreciate data. And at a time when the arts are under active, constant attack, when the ELA scores are plummeting for everybody, but particularly in communities of color, to join the community of Poets Laureate is going to be a beacon and an encouragement for people to read and write and think critically. These are all skills that are actively being lost, and you are out there doing that work. So that's the practical underpinning of your persistence. Don't forget your data.
Mm. Mm.
A word.
Yeah, indeed. There's one other a question that came up. Someone who's Robin, who was saying that she's an alum of June Jordan's Poetry for the People, and she feels the presence here. But can you talk about your teachers, mentors, or ancestors, past poets, anyone who influenced your work? That's the first one, and they're saying please feel free to answer what speaks to you, and what advice do you have for someone who's taken multiple decades, a long break from poetry, but who wants to pick it up again? So one, who are your influences, and what advice do you have for someone who's kind of put this aside for a while, but now wants to pick it back up? I have never been in a room.
Well, first, everybody here has influenced me today, right? I think that reading poetry, you know, my dad once said, I said I had writer's block, and my dad once told me there's no such thing as writer's block. It means you have written up to the point of everything that you have learned and everything that you have experienced. So once you read more and live more, you will write more, right? So that is the answer to writer's block and writing again, right? And if a poet is who you say you are a poet. You will be a poet again as soon as you just pick back up the pen and write. It's just like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it doesn't go away. It's like, it's decades long. So what? It's decades long. You'll be a writer again as soon as you pick up your pen. Right. So, and I don't want to say like, Nikki Giovanni, I'm going to say her because I'm named after her. Maya Angelou, I'm going to say her, and then I have a lot of local poets as well that I am, experienced and inspired by, and I'm definitely inspired today. So all of the women on here, this is my inspiration today. Everybody on here today, my inspiration.
Chastity, were you going to say something? I see you.
Yes, sorry about that. What I would just say, speaking first to the last question, is just echoing what was said, just get started. I think journaling can be a good way to get back into writing poetry, just writing down your thoughts, your feelings, to get that flow back. And then I think before you know it, you'll be writing those poems. I could give you I love to read, but one thing that really influences me as a poet is listening to people, their conversation, their cadence, what bothers them, what angers them, observing people and just living in life. That's a big inspiration for me as a poet.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Look, this was gospel. This was a workshop. This was everything for me. It was so this was so important for me to put together. For those that know me know I have a 15-year-old going on 35. But this was really important because I wanted to sort of I keep talking about like being in this space of being a documentarian, especially again in the world we're living in right now. And for me, that's really important for her. And so having this archive, right? This entity in a library where she can and other little Black girls can come and like, look, this is what this can look like. This is what like I can take my experiences and make it into this beautiful thing, right? And be proud of it and step into it. And so, and all of the things that you guys, you all have helped to reiterate for me today. I'm so blessed. Selfishly, this was a show for me, and there was other people coming. that's how I feel about it. But this is so great. This was so amazing. Again, thank you to Poetry Center San Jose and all the sponsors that helped put this together. Thanks to all the folks that are behind the scenes. I could go on forever. You know what? Before I go though, like whoever sees this later on, I want folks to pay particular attention to like the texture of artistry that you heard today from all these wonderful individuals, these wonderful poets, and the ways in which they take language and make it their own and then give it back to us, right? Is so different and so the same. Like listen, as if you know me, you heard the listen different. Like listen different. This has been a masterclass in the how to take your experience and wrap it up in vowels and give it to people. So again, I thank you for that. Everyone's watching who's with us today, thank you for coming. If you watch later on, thank you for watching later on. You all are incredible. Forget the poetry, as I said before, just incredible human beings. And thank you so much for the work that you're doing with this craft that I love so much and this community that I absolutely adore most of the time. Yeah, so again, have a great evening for wherever you are, great rest of your afternoon. This will be recorded and put up on our page, and everyone here will get it to you first so you can use that as you will. But thank you again from beginning to end. This has been an amazing, amazing time for me.